and welcome to the All-Star Supercast. I'm Haz from Valkyrie Rock. This is Jay from Jay Horn Illustration. This is Joe from the house just down the street.
Hello. Hey! So much accomplished.
This is becoming a recurring theme twice now. So twice in as many occasions.
Third time's a charm.
Fuck the pair of you.
So today we watched Dredd 2012.
Great film. So good. Oh, spoiler alert, it's awesome.
It is good.
Yeah, it's a great film.
It is good.
Really awesome, yeah.
I mean, it's better than the last one.
Oh, it's so much better. It's like on a different level.
It's going to be hard.
That's the entire review. You can turn off the podcast
It's
now.
going to be hard not to compare them in this one.
It's very, yeah.
It's going to be very hard not to compare them in this one.
We've got down to discuss the writer on this. So, should we talk about that?
Let's Alex Garland.
Mr. Alex Garlandington. Mr.
And what is he?
So he's known for writing the Beach book, being the screenwriter for 28 Days Later,
Amazing
and
film.
Sunshine, and since Dredd was done, he also worked on Ex Machina.
So he's a very prolific writer.
In a sense, he writes very good stuff.
Yeah, works in that sci-fi sort of genre in many ways. Well, zombies for...
Also,
bleak storylines.
Yeah,
really
he also seems to deal with a lot of mental issues in a lot of his films as well, like that mental side of what people are thinking.
I feel him.
As opposed to that physical side of what people are thinking.
Yeah.
I want to point this out. As much as I do believe that writers are the backbone of any successful film, I don't believe that most people will go to the trouble of finding out who wrote a film before they actually go to see it.
No, they don't. Not normally.
You know, you've got...
But we are nerds, and that is why we know.
Yeah, of course. I just think as a point of if anyone was to see this film, or had gone to see this film, it would not be the initial thing. As much as as I said, I love writers, and I think that's the whole... Yeah.
It's amazing that directors get as much prominence as they do. Because really, for a lot of people, it's a case of who cares who the director is. Has it got this star that I like in it?
But both Dredd films have been directed by people who've maybe only had one hit film beforehand. So they haven't had, like, the Josh Whedon or anyone like that taking the reins on it. It's been people who actually have a love of the IP, as opposed to just...
And Alex Garland, you can tell this was a labour of love for him as well.
Well, I know he sat down with John Wagner before, as he went to write it. So he actually went to the creator of Dredd and said, I'm writing a Dredd film, I want your input, which is something you can tell through the whole thing, had the character. And
he started writing this in 2006 as well, and film came out in 2012. But he had the script finished by 2010. So it's like 4 years of pure writing, and then
filmed it in 2011.
Yeah, and then in the next 2 years trying to get this project off the ground, which was
you
probably
can't call that anything less than a labour of love, really.
I mean, the fact that Rebellion were the people that actually made the film as well.
Yeah. Rebellion, an absolute amazing company to take over from Fleetway.
Yeah.
Back in I don't know when they
2000.
took over. The year 2000.
I think it was 2000.
Right, because Fleetway were horrendous by all accounts. They didn't know what they were doing with this franchise.
Oh, they were in it for the money.
Yeah, where Rebellion do love the source material.
Yeah.
So, good on them.
That plays through the whole film as well. Like, you can tell that everyone attached to it loves what they're doing, rather than it's just there to get a paycheck.
Yeah, they're not phoning it in. Slice alone. Oh, sorry.
It's a nice coffee you've got there, Jimmy.
Oh, it's terrible. You know, I think I need a lozenge.
It sounds a bit rocky. So speaking of star power, who did we have behind the helmet?
Behind the helmet was Carl Urban, as opposed to taking helmet off.
He's a star of geek culture, basically, Carl Urban.
I mean, Lord of the Rings,
Star Trek.
Priest, Star Trek.
Yeah.
Been in all of them before this.
Pretty big roles in all the films he's been in as well. I mean, he took over the role of Bones in Star Trek, which is a beloved character.
Well, yeah. Made it his own.
Yeah.
While keeping enough hints to the old one.
Yeah, exactly. And pretty much amongst Lord of the Ring fans, every character's special. If you even get any sort of dialogue in a Lord of the Rings film, you know you've got a fan base.
Who was he?
I don't know.
Emma?
Wow!
I'm more
you really set that one.
I'm a Star Wars fan, not a Lord of the Rings fan.
Long as they've got a speaking part, you know who is. I don't fucking know. One thing I did quite like is Carl Urban to me was quite unknown as an actor, as a performer. So seeing him in this,
he's not an A-lister.
Well, I mean,
I don't know. Star Trek came out before this, and that was Star Trek came out about 3 years.
2009.
Yeah, 3 years before this. So, and I mean, Lord of the Rings.
2001.
It's one of 3 films.
Yeah,
Can't be in 1 year.
Like
But,
2001 or 2006 or something.
but I know you were saying he read Dredd as a child, so
Yeah.
he was already familiar with it,
Yeah, he was a big
Which-
fan of the source material.
which meant that he had a drive to get it right.
Mm.
Hence, he didn't take his helmet off in the whole thing.
And it seems since then, Judge Dredd and the Dredd franchise has become to him what Firefly is to Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
They really want to get it back.
Even though he didn't take the helmet off, you could still tell it was him all the way through, because he had other ways to play it. Like we were saying last time about Tom Hardy playing Bane.
There's a whole bit of his face
he
covered.
still made it work with bringing his own style
Yeah.
to it, really.
And
But
just through his expressions below the nose.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
then I would say the next biggest star of this is Lena Headey.
Lena Headey.
Oh, go on, just correct me. Fuck you. She plays the antagonist of this.
Mama. Don't know much about Mama from the comics, I've got to say though.
No, I don't.
Was she in the comics, or was she
I haven't
just
looked it up. Joe, I would say Mama is an original character for the film.
Really?
Fucking
And this does
editing.
not require editing.
I mean, there was not a jump cut there at all.
Absolutely not. He said it straight after I asked the question.
So well researched here on the All Star Supercast. We really know our stuff, don't we?
But I like that. I like that there was a character created for the film and not hijacked from the comic books.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
I like Mama so much as a character.
I said we weren't going to do this, but the old Dredd had a character created for it. Fargo was created for the film.
Ah.
In the same way that Mama was, but Mama is such a
Such a-
well-rounded
yeah.
character as well.
Yeah.
Uses evil, but isn't pure evil.
And she's got motive for being
There-
the
yeah.
way she is. I've got some stuff to say about her going up against who she is, up against who Anderson is.
Yeah.
And they're essentially the two main characters of this film. Dredd is just this sort of...
Dredd's the vehicle, but
Yeah, he's the vehicle of the film, but he's not the one you empathise with or have an attachment to. And he's not the one who grows throughout the film, which I'm all for. And my big thing in Judge Dredd was that they tried to give Judge Dredd this character arc where he became essentially just another Stallone film, you know? And whereas in this, he's the same as he was at the end as he was when he started. And I like that.
I mean,
Yeah,
all
me
that
too.
changed, I suppose, was his outlook of what the
Of
job he was
Anderson.
doing started of, I don't really like this person, she shouldn't be there because she didn't
Yeah.
make the mark.
Yeah.
To
Two
the
in the
end of-
morning, over, yeah.
To the
Yeah,
end.
but she had to do it. She had to work
Yeah.
at it to
But
change his opinion.
but
And
he
even
was-
then, it's only a slight delve.
And he's
Well,
probably
that's
what it is.
and he's probably the type of person as well who that would have happened anyway
But
if
that's what he
someone
did
worked
in-
that hard.
That's
Yeah,
what he did in
so-
the comics. All the comics weren't massive changes of character over one arc. It was always ever so slight deviation at any
Yeah.
one time.
And Anderson's basically a pain in his ass in the comics anyway, just in the way that who she is compared to him. But he has respect for her. She won him over in terms of respect.
I'd say the other main star in this was Domhnall Gleeson from Harry Potter, Bill Weasley, and he was also in the latest Star Wars.
Who was he in Star Wars?
He played the main general. You know the one who had hissy fits like Kylo Ren.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah, he played him.
Oh, well.
He was the Clan Tech.
Yes.
I think is his name in it. Doesn't actually name him.
Very sympathetic character.
Then Anderson was played by a relative newbie as well.
So one of the cool things about this film is every character has something. Even if it's something small, every character has something about them that's pretty cool. That you can identify them as different to someone else. Maybe not physically, I mean they do have that as well, but in terms of their personality, their motivations, everything like that.
It's nice that they all have their own backstory that doesn't have to explicitly tell you.
Yes, yeah.
It's just you just basically are there for a day in these people's lives, and you get a bit of exposition through the film on each one, but it's not telling you everything.
I quite liked how the exposition was short but effective.
Yeah.
You know, you had the first of all the voiceover, the narration, which they say in most films you shouldn't do, but most good films do, which are my name is Lester Burnham. In 1 year I will be dead. You know, there's like that American Beauty introduction. But here it is. It was very slow moving into there, which it didn't feel rushed. The camera would give you a chance to soak it in. He spoke in a very steady tone. He explained what was going on in the most direct way.
Yeah.
And I really liked that, because for somebody who didn't know Dredd, who didn't know the concept, I didn't want to be like in the first film reading all this fast moving text and then boom straight into the action. This kind of gave us a chance to slowly soak into
digest it.
Yeah.
It was almost like comic panels where you used to get the little bit in the top corner of exposition. It felt like that every time. But it was just a little hit for what you needed to know at that moment to make the scene understandable or the next scene understandable or a motivation. But it wasn't over the top. It didn't give you anything particularly needless.
Anything you didn't need to know.
Apart from at the start where it just set the scene. So it gave you a bit of information that you didn't need in relation to the film. But it was on point.
What did you think of the acting throughout it?
Good all the way through. I don't think there was somebody or anybody's performance that felt stale or unneeded. I think is the word I'm looking for, because ordinarily if you're throwing in an extra or if you're throwing in somebody, everyone was used specifically for a purpose or a point. Even the vulnerable characters, the homeless character that was put in,
Yeah, at the beginning.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I liked Urban's performance because, as you said, there's only so much when you've got an obscured amount of your face. There's only so many expressions you can perform, so he had to rely on his movements. This is well if you're talking about how people praise people who put on the Jason mask or Michael Myers or Freddy or whatever it is. Their natural features are covered up, and so it's all about how they move. And again, I liked how Urban decided to move. It was very straight-shouldered. Boom, boom. I mean, like when he walked away from...
Very militaristic in a way.
It is, yeah. And that's sort of... It's obviously thought long and hard about this before he started taking
it. Didn't feel like they made any missteps in any of the casting.
No, it was great all around. I absolutely adore this film.
There was no one when you watched it you went, I'd rather they were casting that. Because each role seemed crafted for that actor. Almost like they wrote the role and then when they cast it they almost rewrote it to play to all the actor's strengths. Mama had that almost seething malicious side that Cersei does in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but she was different from...
But it was different, but it had that same vibes off it.
She's a great villain. She plays such a good villain, not just in this but also in Game of Thrones. She's great throughout, a really good actor.
What would you say about, I know we're sort of jumping ahead of a couple of things here, but just while we're, as an opinion, what do you think about having a female antagonist?
Great.
I think it was a part that could be played by a man or a woman. It was that well written.
I'm pleased it was played by a woman. I think it was intended for a female.
I think it was written as that, but it was so well written you could have imagined a man with a slightly different backstory in the same.
Yeah.
So it was nice that, again, they just crafted the role for the person they cast.
Yeah.
So I don't think it mattered.
She is the only woman of the Marmar clan as well.
Yeah,
She's
I know.
Purely and simply the only one.
Really sort of helps emphasise her power, doesn't it?
Makes her stand out.
Yeah, she has such dominance over these male subsequent characters, or these subsequent,
She's a bit of a feminist icon in many ways. Apart from she kills people and sells drugs.
Well, to be honest, it continues that Dredd theme of having strong female characters in the comics. Yeah. It's the same here. She's a strong female character who's worked the hard way to get to where she is.
Costume design. What do you think about this?
I love the tactical judge costumes.
Biker Dredd.
What I really like about the judge costumes is that they look dirty. They look like they're covered in dust and stuff like that all over them. Which, if you work in a city that is surrounded by an irradiated desert, you're probably going to get sandstorms coming in. And you're probably going to get dusty from these sandstorms. It's going to be all over the floor and stuff like that. Well, as you get closer into the centre, you're not going to get that.
I liked it. It looked practical.
Yeah, and it looked really...
Actually looked like they had armour over most of their body. And not too dissimilar from what you'd see now. But you didn't have a massive eagle on the shoulder. It was just an emblem. That, I think, really helped the film.
Yeah.
Ground it.
Yeah. Helped it have that almost near future look.
Yeah. Every other character, all of the criminals essentially just dressed like normal everyday
ne'er-do-wells.
Yeah, ne'er-do-wells.
There's a word out there.
Once you get, as you could say, you could argue that this purposely is done to ground the characters. I mean, as hard as certain things are to believe, it's how you choose to ground them in a certain level of reality, so people can soak it in better. And I like that the Dredd costume reminded me of biker gear. And especially when he was putting it on, it kind of looked like he was just getting ready to go out and, just take care of stuff. And the way he put the helmet, everything about it just reminded me of biker gear, leathers, tough.
There was nothing excessive.
No.
Yeah.
It was all very
It looked like you could get that SWAT team today.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. And I think that's a big thing throughout the film. It's today, but it's the future.
Yeah.
And you were mentioning in the last film about how the set designs and everything that reminded you of tower blocks. and stuff like that.
Well, is this
It's a
one?
nice segue into set design.
Until you went and pointed out that it was a segue.
Yeah, well, you have to know my greatness. So you were saying how it reminds you of tower blocks in the last film, and were you surprised to find that this time round that's far more prominent?
It was quite literal in this one. It wasn't it wasn't so much hinted at. The class system was literally there in your face. It was the tower blocks.
Yeah.
You know, the struggling
75,000 people in one tower block. They said at one point.
Was
Most of them
it
vagrants.
Was it 800 million in the city and 75,000
in the
in just a tower block?
thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, even when you saw like the big panning shots, like you saw hundreds of tower blocks.
And then you saw skyscrapers dwarfed next to them.
What I really liked was the is it like a sort of justice hall that you were first introduced to?
The Hall of Justice.
I really liked that was introduced first, and that was the most prominent building you noticed first. And this tower
only
block was the
clean-looking
second
building.
one. Yeah,
well, the clean
But they
looking with a
both
massive,
matched.
vibrant yellow symbol on it.
they both matched in size, and which gives that impression that this place was a fortress of the opposite intent, which
Yeah.
I thought was really great.
Like, this is the establishment, essentially. This is the ne'er-do-wells.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
of both of equal stature, which as you said, with like the pure size of it was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was really good set design, and it makes a lot of sense to have that now as well, because tower blocks are all over the news if you're in the UK for all the wrong reasons.
I mean,
But it does say a lot because they're all over this country.
But they're a very 70s, 80s design concept anyway.
Yeah, which is when the comic
when the
is
comic
from.
came out.
Yeah.
So it's nice that they're showing that, but they almost updated it a bit as well.
Yeah,
Because they did look like those
they
London tower
exaggerated it.
blocks
Yeah,
when you were on the inside, but they gave it their own feel, like this is what it would actually be.
yeah.
And it had that Cold War feel and the fact that they could bring the shutters down.
It was like a character in itself, really, wasn't it? The
Yeah.
building was a character.
Well, I said that it's like a nation. It's like
Yeah.
it's like or like a town,
Well, they comment...
a community.
They say it's a
basically
city
community.
unto itself.
Yeah.
And it's a precise. I mean, they use a phrase called block legends, and I love that because it kind of like, have you heard the legends of the guy with the hook or something like that? And that's how Mama was, introduced to us. They're like, oh, they said that she did this, they said that she did that one time, and it was great because, as you said, it's within their own little town village.
It was
and
like
every town village
misinformation.
has their own, has their own story, has their own urban legend, or as they phrase it, as block legend.
Yeah.
I love that.
With the set design as well, it was nice that with the graffiti they had a lot of callbacks to the
Yes.
comics in there as well. So stuff like Chopper, well known from some of the early Dredd comics.
I saw one bit of graffiti, and all it said was "fuck." Shit. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Which is, it's interesting that they use proper swearing in it, because of course Dredd doesn't. It uses stuff like Drock, which showed up right at the start.
It's
It was on the
for
back of one of the jackets of the people in the chase.
it's for kids under 16 originally. The book.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it? John Wagner was saying? It's like reading an 18-year-old.
It's like an 18 rated film for that 12-year-old's read.
Yes,
And that sums it up perfectly. Apart from this is
an
18-year-old
rated film.
that was just that gruesome. To go with the set design though, like the sound design was really on point as well. And not just the sound, but the lack of sound they used a lot as well. Like
Yeah,
they
there was a lot of
silenced it
just
down.
silence there.
Yeah.
A lot of uncomfortable silence.
And they'd use it to highlight, just for example, when there were some bodies hit the floor from a very high place.
Hit the floor.
You just
Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies. Sorry.
you just got this massive.
You start talking on your own.
Sorry, I got invaded by the ghost of the Drowning Pool lead singer. Carry on. He is actually dead as well.
I never knew that, actually.
Yeah, you just got this massive like bassy thud that in the cinema would have just carried straight through you. Yeah, it was just bang, bang, bang with no sound elsewhere.
It made you jump a little bit.
Yeah, and they did it a few times. Like some of the action scenes, are almost the music complemented the action that was going on. So like as the film went on, that bass line in the action scenes got more and more. By the end, it was really thumping music, like very driving the action forward, and the choice of the style of music as well. It was all quite
electronic,
which in the 80s that was almost very futuristic, and they kept to that drum and bass feel, I think, to make it a bit more gritty.
but it wasn't in your face drum and bass.
No,
But it's very subtle drum and bass.
yeah,
You know, it's somewhat psychedelic, really. It's like if Pink Floyd did drum and bass. Essentially.
The sound design works in conjunction with the film. I don't think it would work separately, as in the film wouldn't work separately either.
No.
As such, like they're so well done. Again, I think it's just that they got the right person in for the job. They knew what they wanted and they got it.
And we never really spoke about the soundtrack in the previous film. It was all very typical of the time. It didn't do anything different.
No, it was very typical action movie scores, whereas this was bespoke almost.
Yeah.
And sound was used as a vehicle for the film in terms of the transition of power in the block. There's obviously this seesaw effect where Mama has complete control. Judge very, very gradually throughout the film takes control, and you can use the way that you do this is through the PA system. One of the really great little cinematic tricks they use is through the PA system. Mama gives this announcement to the entire building, "This is Mama," and she explains what's going on. She's dictating what's going on, and again, it gives her a much bigger presence because she can be heard throughout everything. And then, of course, later on, as Dredd's now trapped, you find out that he's in this sort of little gun battle with about 10 of them, and what you find again with the PA system is he announces to them, and it's a very small number, and he's got a presence over them, but it's a very small amount. And then, of course, later on, as he starts to gain even more control, he breaks into the full PA system, and that's him announcing to the whole building, just like Mama did at the start, Dredd does at the end. So she's got the power up there at the start with the PA system and the voice going everywhere.
And then she only has power over a few small people.
Exactly. And then Dredd takes
Or she gives the local speech, whereas he gives the
complete
block-wide speech.
And this, again, is what I meant by the whole... Initially, he couldn't do that. He had that over about 10 of them before he got into the gun battle. Then he eventually... And again, it was one of those things, as you said, like the transition of power, how gradually he became more, and sound was just one of those fantastic things that they used to get that across.
Yeah.
I mean, when we were watching it, you talked about yellow being prominent through the whole film.
I was obsessed with colour, yeah.
Do you want to explain that?
One thing, when I was sent one of the YouTube clips originally by Jamie, it was yellow. What I saw was yellow. And if you look at the start, when they had that van chase with Dredd, there was little bits of yellow on billboards, and it was a very subtle indication.
Some of the walls in the background were...
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a very subtle indication that this colour was going to associate the villains. And I kept wondering why, particularly, they would opt for that colour. I thought maybe there was like a sickening connotation to it. I don't know. But very later on, I started to notice a bit more of when Dredd started to hide and the rookie started to hide away. They had solace behind a red door, and whenever something happened, like being shot or something, there was big vibrant sprays of red blood, and you kind of again started to associate the red with the safety or the good or the opportunity to, for the justice, because his helmet's got the red.
I was going to say the red stripe on the helmet is iconic for the judges.
It's essentially the only colour on his uniform.
Yeah.
Other than the slight gold on his shoulder pads and his.
And if you look for yellow throughout this entire film, if you're ever watching this film, just think of the word yellow and you'll immediately see it. When there was something about to happen, whenever there was, imminent violence, that stairwell fight, or whatever it was.
Well, the gas was yellow, wasn't it?
The gas was yellow. Yeah. The walls were saturated in this yellow light. And again, when we were talking
the
about...
tech guy and Kay, one of the main
wore
baddies,
full yellow.
Yellow t-shirts.
They're just like that Coldplay song, The Scientist.
Sorry, we took you off your point there.
No, particularly that was pretty much it in its entirety. We talk about
yellow bad, red good.
Yeah, and again, you really start to see that, and again, how less effective yellow becomes as the story goes along.
And they're essentially the only really bright colours throughout it.
Yeah,
because
I mean,
everything
there are,
else
like,
was
some vibrant
dreary
colours,
and
yeah.
just
They
grey.
used the odd splash of like green and blue, like green
During
around
the
the
fight
med bit.
scenes were incredible colours. I mean, for all it was gory as hell, like some of the colours they used during that first gun battle was unreal.
It felt like they used a dull colour palette a lot of the time because when the slow-mo scenes were on, they were vibrant, hallucinogenic colours.
Yeah.
Lots of greens, purples, blues, yellows, reds.
Yeah.
So they get across the fact that these fuckers are high.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
essentially what it is.
It was doing, it's a sensation,
Well,
isn't it? The
it
colours
felt like
were,
the dull
resemble
colour
the
palette was
sensation.
there because it was quite everyone's quite ground down, and I mean the actual one the judges later on refers to it as a meat grinder of a city, and that very down feeling, and it just grinds everyone down, so it is quite dull coloured. But then these drugs make like everything so vibrant that that lifts people up. I'd say there's some big influences in this film though, especially Dirty Harry, which was an original influence for Dredd.
Yes.
But there was a lot of almost Clint Eastwood-esque type, like the voice acting sounded a bit like
His
Eastwood-esque.
general surliness as well.
Yeah.
You know, that's straight out
Some of those
Clint Eastwood's
one-liners,
playbook. Yeah.
some of the one-liners as well would be lost.
Terrific one-liners in this film.
I mean,
So
you
good.
mentioned that it almost had like a bit of a western feel to it in parts.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the use of different genres. Whenever you look at a film, you can't help but notice, like we did in The Last Dredd, we saw the buddy comedy elements coming through. And with this one, I think they lent very heavily on cop films as an action premise rather than a buddy comedy premise. And also westerns. You know, the original standoff they had where that guy had the innocent woman to gunpoint and they were starting that negotiation. The way Dredd entered, it was very like, you know...
Yeah, from the side shot,
Yeah.
just the feet.
I expected his hands to be down by his side. Now, I was honestly in my head, I was hearing like the spurs go ching, ching, ching,
More spaghetti western than the old
Yeah.
school ones.
punk. Yes.
Bonk. La la la. Don't betray the law. La la la.
It very much set up as well though, like at the start for a buddy comedy, like a buddy cop film with having Anderson and Dredd together. But then
Totally didn't go in that direction.
We didn't. It kind of wrong footed you because it was almost like a
Yeah,
like a
subvert the
teacher
expectation,
student of almost like a parent child relationship developed between them.
I just remembered something in that whole sphere of parent-child thing. There was something I wanted to mention before. I got that vibe that there was a sort of, obviously Mama with her name and also the way in which she governs over the people of this tower block. She had this very like maternal, sadistic punishment, and
Well, partway through,
almost
she's
like
about to cause
Dredd.
destruction, and instead of just being ultra-violent, she tells people to go into their homes and stay
Yeah.
out the way.
She has
You know
this
who she
control.
reminds me of?
Who?
The
Cersei.
no, the nurse from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. If you've not seen that film,
Not
have you?
strongly familiar.
I've never seen it.
Amazing that film.
I have seen it, I just don't
I heard the
recall.
tumbleweeds then.
It's
Yeah,
so
through my
good.
head.
If you put this in, I swear to God, people are going to be like, "What the fuck? They've not seen that film." Have you not heard of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
I've heard of it, but I've never
Speaking
seen
of
it.
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, if you watch
I can't
it,
do a good
you
impression
will
of him either.
see its influence everywhere.
Oh, I can believe it.
Everywhere. You'll know the nurse from it as well, because the nurse has the hair that goes like a heart shape, and she's really sadistic, and she governs these patients like she's their parent.
I might have seen it actually, but I can't remember.
You've watched Spaced, haven't you?
Yeah.
You know that episode where
I'm British, damn it.
You know that episode where Daisy goes to work in a kitchen?
Yeah.
That is just One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Ah, right. Yeah. I get you.
Like every little bit of that is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
And you got that from Mama.
From Mama, yeah.
Well, what we were saying there, the whole thing where he's obviously the parent to Anderson, and in effect...
It felt like it by the end. That last scene in the lift felt like it particularly.
And I think if you could liken Dredd to the father figure, and you could liken Mama
From
to...
a
obviously-
divorce!
Yeah, Mama to the actual mother of this piece, and... Obviously, everyone else is sort of caught in the middle of this, I suppose. This domestic, but it's
That's a hell of a domestic case.
isn't it? But I mean, it was to sort of impose this idea that Dredd was this father figure. There was a couple of times when they came after him in these small groups to take him out, and he was sort of in these camera angles behind the door, almost like the wall was sort of halfway cutting off the side of his face, and he kind of resembled like a father checking in on his kids. Kind of, you better be behaving in there or else.
It was pretty much never in the centre of the screen either.
Which you'd assume would make him appear weaker because he's been fractioned, but it didn't.
No. Because he's always in front of others.
Yeah, he always had that control, and as you said, that could be down to
I think as well,
performance as well.
His eye line was usually, if you obviously you can't see his eyes, but where his eye line would be, I notice is usually above the thirds rule, so he's slightly above that, and that exerts a level of power in it. I think.
Absolutely.
See, I got the parent-child relationship from you watch Anderson grow through the film. And it's very noticeable that Dredd's also watching that through some of the dialogue that's used. They use some callbacks near the end to the start. That situations that were enacted one way at the start of the film play out differently at the end. And so you see that character growth in Anderson, which is kind of what the film's about. So it really should be called Anderson, not Dredd, because it's all about her and her journey.
Yeah.
There's something about Anderson.
Anderson!
Let's get to the film. Let's get to the actual film.
I thought that's what we were talking about.
Well, we're talking about
Let's get into it scene by scene. And actually talk about the guts of it.
Oh, there's a lot of guts
There
in
is
this film.
there is a particularly violent.
A lot of brains and a lot of guts.
I suppose it's worth just pointing out before as well that it was made for 3D, and that's very
It was.
obvious.
I went to see it in 3D as well, and it was one of the few films in 3D that was awesome as well. Because most 3D films, they were essentially just in post-production turned 3D.
Oh, it was very gimmicky as well. They
It was,
throw
yeah.
stuff out the screen on purpose.
Yeah. Whereas this one, it doesn't detract from it at all. But when you got those slow-mo scenes in 3D, they looked incredible. And that was essentially all it was for.
Yeah.
Those slow-mo scenes. And the opening title that goes, Dredd. Other than that. But we start off with spoken word this time instead of the Star Wars-esque writing going up.
I mean, the old one was spoken word as well as written, but this one was written in such a way that it was easy to listen to. It didn't confuse you. It was just very simple.
Yeah.
Like
It was
we were saying
engaging.
earlier.
If there's two delivery systems, I find that to be quite irritating and hard to concentrate on, because you've got text running past, you've also got somebody talking over it, and they're both expositional pieces. They're both designed to set up the story, whereas you only really need one.
And it did some great panning shots. While it was talking, it also showed you the city.
Yeah, and the
so
cursed
you
earth.
picked up a lot about the city just through the visuals alone without having to listen to it. I thought it set the scene perfectly.
You knew
For someone
this,
that didn't know
this
Dredd,
place is hell.
yeah, I think for
basically.
someone that didn't know Dredd, it just pointed out
And-
how bad things are there.
And watching it makes me never want to go to South Africa.
Which is where it was filmed.
Yes. Because it looks rough as fuck around there. On that film.
I mean, some of the panning shots you can see that they've used like the actual overheads and then CG'd some of it in.
Looks like some
Just
of it was
to-
from newsreels as well, more than even
Which
actual
again,
film.
added to the effect of the film tenfold.
like the lawlessness that was in there, and
Yeah, the disgruntlement that we spoke about.
and
in
that
the
just
last
that
one.
the population being ground down through conditions, and it really did do a good job of just setting a scene within a couple of minutes of what world you're stepping into with the film, and so it doesn't really have to linger on that past any of that.
So we hit the chase scene, straight into the action. Bam! There you go. Some fuckers doing this weird drug that we don't know of at this point in time.
No, and we don't get a full kind of what its effects are. We just kind of get an allusion to it. But
Yeah, how they're all like spaced out and time's moving slow. Also, I noticed there are no flying vehicles in this one, apart from a couple of drones going overhead.
Yeah, I noticed.
It's all the vehicles look really old. They look like proper.
Well, it looks like a
beaten
city
up.
with no money.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Kind of like if
Underfunded.
you could relate it to like Cuba or somewhere where they had to reuse the technology and reuse the advancements and all this kind of stuff. I mean, when I could be wrong here, but when Cuba was it's in like a sort of communist state, they obviously didn't have much imports, exports, and all the rest of it. And I'm guessing if this place was trapped in a very similar kind of...
This place is pretty much the reverse of communist states in many ways. But
I'm guessing it's desolate, is
it's-
what I'm referring to.
I'd have gone with it's like the old Soviet bloc.
in many ways.
so
So
they've
it's-
had to go and reuse
It's got
things, is what I
resources,
meant,
but not
is-
tech.
Yeah, it's kind of like East Germany.
Yeah, in the chase scene though, it was quite good. Carl Urban actually rode the bike in the chase scene. There wasn't a stuntman, I don't believe, but it was good because the bike again actually looked like it drove.
Yeah, It looked awesome.
It did drive.
Yeah.
I was about to say.
Like, it wasn't just a prop bike wheeled in. It was a very fast bike by all
And
accounts.
as well, it looked like a good bit of tech. It looked like the Justice Department is the only part of the city that actually has some money.
Well, it looked very sleek, and whereas the other stuff all looked battered and
It really helped it
worn down.
stand out,
Yeah.
going through that crowd of cars. And so he's chasing after these erratic drivers, as he puts it,
Yeah.
suspected to be using narcotics.
I love just the understatements he gives.
Yeah.
Not just then, but through the whole film. Just he understates everything. Just then you get the person. Once they hit someone, it almost escalates up.
Yeah. I'm taking him down.
Oh, they've killed an innocent. That's it. They're dead.
I also like that he doesn't kind of overemphasize what they're doing strictly as it adheres to the law. You know, as they do something, he then escalates his description of it.
I love how when he's talking to the controls tower and they say, "Do you need backup?" He just goes, "No." It instantly sets who this character is.
Yeah.
He doesn't need help.
No.
He's more than competent at his job of running this fascist police state. He's like, he's the man.
lone hero. Again, you like on the horse.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't need the help. He's just there doing what he does. We also get the first references to ISO cubes as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, which wasn't present in the first film, but is massive in the comics.
Well,
What is an ISO
That's
cube?
just the prison. It's basically like solitary confinement in prison. It's used throughout all the comics. It's the main system of dealing with them. And I mean, they mentioned juve cubes later on as well, which is also a major thing. And
As in juvenile detention centers.
yeah. Basically, they just use cubes instead of cells. It's just a terminology thing. But I mean, the chase scene escalates to a point where he just shoots once, doesn't he? And basically takes out two of them.
Yeah, he takes out the van by shooting the tyres out. But one of them gets away, the rest are all dead as dead can be.
Yeah.
They're as dead as Hugh Hefner. And sees one of them running through a crowd, shooting in the air, drawing attention to himself, and he goes after him. I liked how the bike had crowd control in it.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
The only thing that annoyed me was he said crowd control and then the volume didn't change on the bike.
Yeah.
It just stayed the same.
I was half anticipating something a bit more excessive, you know, like instead of a voice going, "Please stand back," this is which I like. Don't get me wrong, but I was expecting it to like launch out tear gas or some shit.
You know what it made me think of? You know that episode of Rick and Morty? Rick tells his car to keep Summer safe.
Yes.
And it's going around and just killing people who get close to the car or crippling them and stuff like that. That's kind of what it reminded me of a little bit, even though it didn't do any of
It
that.
actually felt like I had a bit of a callback to the old film though there when he got off the bike, because you had the bike stand come out and then you saw his feet. That was the first time you saw Dredd properly in the old film, was that panning shot upwards, and this one again had that. And it had lots of homages back to not just the first one but the comics. I mean, when he chases the guy into the mall, you've got a massively obese guy with a belly wheel on the floor dead.
Yeah.
And fatties are a big thing in the early comics when it was still had its almost like comic zany side. Yeah, it was nice.
You
to
see one
see.
like that later as well.
Yeah, it was nice to start seeing those references in there so early on. You could tell from that point that these people got Dredd. Like, they were fans of Dredd. It wasn't just an action film with Dredd slapped in it.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
I loved his how he dealt with the thug as well.
Well, you
the
get
perp.
to the spaghetti western bit where it's the standoff.
Yeah.
And you've got Dredd with his. He's trying to talk him down. He's negotiating, which is something that
But he still has control in that.
He has
negotiation.
all the control, but it's interesting that in the previous film we never saw that negotiation.
No, he just went, "Hey, blah,"
and he didn't really give him much of a choice, but it was interesting to see him.
Yeah, you have a choice of death or life imprisonment.
Yeah.
And the guy's saying you have no leverage on it.
And then the ultimate gun porn moment as well with...
I heard you, hot shot.
And it just... that just felt good.
The kills in this film, the way that people die in this film is gore porn. It's so fucking inventive.
There was this whole kind of thing about whether it was going to push it too far for me, because I'm a big believer of what you don't see can be more effective in certain aspects, and I can't say they went too overboard now, but I think that may be something to do with the fact that now I'm officially a bit more desensitized from like things like The Walking Dead.
It was comical as well, though.
2012. 12. Yeah, I don't think it was overdone, and again, you saturate a lot of colour in there as well, so it wasn't as shocking and grounded. You know, the gore wasn't as much as it could have been.
And it was over the top and comical as well, which is used in how a lot of deaths happen in the comics.
Yeah.
It was used in the right kind of moments, and it wasn't thrown in for the sake of it, which I liked.
I mean, when someone was shot in the film, it was invariably you saw the gunshot and like a bit of blood, but it wasn't like their guts falling out their body normally.
Yeah.
So when there was moments of extreme gore happened, you kind of paid attention to it, and it was a bit more meaningful.
Yeah.
So it was used almost sparingly, but not, if that makes sense.
Sparingly, but effectively.
Yeah.
And so he takes this guy out. It really sets up who Dredd is as a character.
You laughed because he called in for the meat wagon. you almost found that term really funny.
The meat wagon! And bodies for recyc as well.
What is that?
So everything in Mega City 1 essentially has to be recycled.
Oh, I don't like
everything has to be recycled.
So how does it work? What is the premise behind it?
Essentially, the bodies are used for different things. So be it like pet food, or whatever. The bones might be used for certain infrastructures, or materials.
Gross.
Skin might be used as a leather alternative. Everything is recycled in the city.
To quote Demolition Man, do you see any cows around here?
Yeah. Do you remember in the first film where they have that whole about eat recycled food?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they had a slight callback to it in that.
Gross.
But yeah, everything's recycled in Mega City 1, and it's because they can't trade outside of the city.
Tesco would be having a hell of a time in this place, wouldn't they? The fucking horses in army. You should be so lucky, Horseburger. That's your Uncle Charlie. So, we've got down Anderson's introduction.
Didn't have any supernatural elements in the last film, other than the angel family, which were more technological, sort of.
Well, I would say there was absolutely no psychic element to the last film, whereas this one, very much up front. I mean, Anderson was the main psyker in Dredd in the early days, so it's nice that they're introducing it now because it opens the door to, say, the Judge Death storyline.
Massive character as well. One thing you might not know about the Judge Dredd comics is that they age in real time.
Oh.
So, like, Judge Dredd in the current comic is in his 70s.
Whoa.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And Anderson will be in her, 40s or something, late 40s, early 50s, something like that. So, they have this... I've lost my point. I've lost my point on that.
Well, I was really looking forward to hearing that. You just kind of stopped.
I've lost her, but that's how long she's been going. She started out at this age that you see in the film in 21. So she starts out at that sort of age, and she's managed to last this long in the stories and have her own strips. I mean, there's still an ongoing Anderson side division strip going on right now because she's that integral to the Judge Dredd mythos.
She's such a different kind of character to Dredd in the comics as well. It's such a different element.
She's a sympathetic character.
Yeah.
She's a character that grows. She's relatable in so many ways.
She sounds very necessary.
Yeah.
Considering how...
She's the one who humanises this whole system, essentially. And that's why it's good to have
it
her
almost
in.
shows that in the film, though, in the fact that they make a point of saying that she failed to reach the mark to be a judge, but only just.
Yeah.
That she's so borderline that I think they use that to almost show the system...
How rough it is. And how rough it is and how
there's almost no room for humanity in the system.
Yeah, and there wouldn't have been if it wasn't for the fact that she had that skill. But in the introduction of her character, what do you suppose the significance was that she was sat behind the interrogation glass?
She looked like a prisoner. Basically, and it
just
had
mulling
that cool psychic trick in there.
Yeah, when she described Dredd,
and she almost alluded to something that could be almost brought up in some kind of sequel of left unspoken, could be anything really.
I liked how she described Dredd as well.
Yeah,
anger and control, and that's pretty much sums him up as his personality because he is always angry. He's a surly fucker. But he's not going to let that overwhelm him.
And to establish him as a more complex character, there was something that even a psychic couldn't quite put the finger on.
Yeah.
She attempted to describe the third characteristic.
I think she was
struggling
about to say third character, and they stopped it because
You don't want to know too much about Dredd.
Well, not just that. As an audience, you want to find that out yourself. Really, it doesn't want to tell you what to think.
Yeah.
So it just tells you he's angry, which we've already seen in the chase scene, but he's controlled, which we've already seen in the chase scene.
Yeah.
So it's only described what we've already seen,
Yeah.
and then keeps any other traits hidden.
And he was none of those things in the Judge Dredd, the 1995 film.
No,
Which
he was,
Jamie loves.
He was angry occasionally. Control, when you burst out going, I didn't betray the law, I am the law. That doesn't seem very controlled. That wasn't a very controlled...
See what you doing? Nothing.
Is this the new "Was Up"?
What's
Children of the 90s.
Many people aren't going to get that. Some of the young fucker.
I thought it was interesting that he's told to buddy cop with her, basically.
Yeah.
And then you get the...
It's like
you
a
see-
fail is a fail. Yeah.
You see the bit where they're going down the stairs and he's listing all the ways she will fail.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know whether that's just what he's decided or whether that's actual rules.
I would have thought that was the rules.
No, they're the rules, but what I liked is that almost was like the Academy scene in the 95 film of it was explaining exactly what a judge should do.
Yeah.
And the bits it explained were exactly what cropped up in the film. It almost felt like from whatever floor they were on in that building to the bottom floor, he had just been telling her how she would fail the whole time.
Yeah.
And he asked her if she was ready, which he'll go on to repeat throughout the film a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the great thing about that is you see how more ready she becomes throughout
Yeah.
it, which is pretty awesome. And then we get to the big bad. Oh wait, no, one last thing is he said 1 in 5 don't survive the first day.
Yeah.
And that judges can only respond to 6% of crimes. So this shows you how this city is.
Yeah.
How it
definitely.
is a meat grinder of a city. And if you are in trouble, there's no saying you're going to get help.
It's a good way of how a writer would express the danger just through dialogue.
But it shows why the judges were needed. Of they have to be so ruthless and so quick with judgment because the city's already at bursting point and they're already overwhelmed. So they're going in there already outgunned, outnumbered, but they have to be so tough. And it's almost like a New York cop mentality of you might die really quick
Yeah.
if you don't learn fast. And I thought they did a good job of almost setting up that some people who aren't mentally tough will be ground down by that kind of statistic
Yeah.
and that overwhelming scum out there of
When he says it's all the deep end.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
There's-
essentially
essentially
what it is.
there's no easy job
Yeah.
in this.
Then we're introduced to Mama, the big bad. You can tell that because she's at the top of this tower block, the very top
Penthouse.
floor.
Yeah.
She is the big bad in this film, and you can just tell. It's obvious she has a hench person, as many for that matter, and you get to see some more of the effect of slow-mo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
when
drug,
she's in the bathtub
Yeah.
throwing the
slightly
water
more-
around.
Yeah.
Yeah, when she gets 3 the traitors essentially, traitors to her clan or people that
Yeah.
are trying. Yeah, she gets them brought to her by some of her underlings, and you get to see just how vicious she is. Where just without any sort of hesitation, she just says, "Skin them, throw them over the balcony."
She just makes an example of them.
Yeah,
straight away.
that's all it is. And Kay, the one of her lieutenants, says, "Should we hit him with a bit of slow-mo first?" And she's just like, "Yeah, sure."
This is where you see the vindictive
Yeah.
side and the ruthless
Yeah.
side of that gang coming through.
Yeah, so it's not just her; it's a mentality throughout this entire clan.
Yeah.
All I could think because they skinned them, gave them the slow-mo, threw them off the balcony, and all I could think of was Queen, Mama. Just killed him.
I thought the shot they used for that, because they almost, for that initial going off, they used a first-person shot for them originally.
It was an incredible shot.
And
Wow.
again, I know we
Shows the scale of this tower block
we
as
touched
well.
on it earlier of like the end and the start mirroring each other, and it very much had that of that fall down for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And the way it was shot, and you had all the vibrant colours because slow-mo was active, and it just set the scene in the tower block of just how ruthlessly controlled this tower block is.
Yeah.
When you had them looking over the top of this tower block, you could not see the floor.
No,
That goes to, it was just a dot. You could see just how huge
I mean you
this
find
is.
out
yeah.
it's 200 floors,
Yeah.
but
200 floors,
We can't comprehend
75,000 people in there. You know,
I mean, the highest I've been up 71 floors in a building before, and that was tall.
I liked, particularly at the start, you could establish a dominance with very little words, and I quite like that. You know, you're talking about how to establish her, and she didn't say a great deal at the start, didn't she?
I mean,
Until
her
she got
look
on that
alone.
PA, yeah.
I mean, you got the scar on the face,
Which is very stereotypical,
almost
but
feminine
very,
tattoos.
she's a little bit like an anti-Dredd, because Dredd doesn't say a lot either. He just gets his point across. So we get that awesome scene where they hit the ground. Some judges are called out, and Dredd and Anderson, who gets to take that case.
Well, she just has to pick any case, and it's like an eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Yeah.
And
She
you
just happens to choose that
get
one.
the point in the film where if she'd have just pointed at a different one, then the film wouldn't have happened.
Chaos theory.
Yeah. It's like that alternate timelines.
And
Which I like is a lot of directors impose that kind of storytelling. Writers do, and there was this great one in Collateral, the film with Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx, and they expressly mentioned a scene very similar to that, where Tom Cruise's character, who was an assassin, was going to get into the cab that Jamie Foxx was driving, but he was distracted, so he went to walk away to get into a different one, and obviously Jamie Foxx wanted the fare, called him back towards him, got in, and the movie started off with those two. And again, they said there's always this kind of thing where in real life you can take a direction and it could take you off that way, it could take you off that way, and I love when they decide to pepper these throughout films.
It's like Sliding Doors, essentially.
Yeah. It's a film.
It's a film with...
I know, I haven't seen it though.
Yeah, that's what it's about. You have two separate stories.
Right.
And it's Gwyneth Paltrow's the main character, and if she did this, I think it involves a train, doesn't it?
If she made the tube, or if she didn't make the tube, essentially.
Right.
That's what it is, yeah. So if she
I
didn't,
love
she went home
those
and found out
moments
her husband was cheating on her, isn't it? Something like that. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
I like the fact though that like when she's picking which case to show, showed the map and just how many crimes there were on the map. So it made a point,
and that's when
it
he
reinforced
said,
that 6% point.
Yeah.
And even then, you get he's like, it's your show, you pick it. You're the one in control here. I'm just monitoring.
I love when they get to,
which is almost like the parent with the child on the bike saying, "Go on, then you do it."
Yeah. I love when they get to Peach Trees. And Dredd asks why she wants to be a judge, and she says, "I want to make a difference, and what make a difference to a place like this." And it's almost like he's happy with maintaining the status quo.
Yeah,
he hasn't been. He's been ground down by this system, and that has made him who he is. But then he says admirable when she says about it.
Yeah, on the way to Peach Trees, like you get the exposition of Peach Trees because he asks her what she knows about Peach Trees.
Yeah.
So that's how we learn how many people there are, what's going on there, what facilities there are, which leads into the conversation of why would you want to make a difference here.
Yeah.
And it calls back to the America-linked comic strips for the Dredd storyline, where there's a person in it who they just want to make the difference. They don't agree with the judges. But the way they want to make the difference is they want to be on the inside and change it from the inside and be fairer. And I thought you got a bit of that where she says, "No, I'm one of. I came from here. This is my roots."
Yeah.
And I just thought it was a really well done scene for explaining those motivations for her.
Yeah, it adds more personality to her as well.
Yeah.
Because it would be very easy for this to be just like Judge Dredd, where the female role has nothing to them.
I have to say, as they're walking, I absolutely love. There's a homeless guy just sat like as they go in, and I love the sign he has.
What did it say again?
It was something like we'll debase self for money, essentially. And I thought that was like such a good little Dredd. Just warns him, and you see like the leniency almost there of he's saying, "Don't be here when I get back."
But he only has to do that because Anderson says.
I don't know. I think he's just being fair. If he's saying, "Just don't be there, and you're not going to get punished." I haven't got time to deal with you. I've got bigger things to deal with. So it's a very passing comment, which I think is absolutely brilliant because it sets up for later on, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Personally, if I was a vagrant like him, I would much rather be in the ISO cubes. It seems like at least you're going to get fed.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably why he stayed there.
yeah.
And then we see the dead bodies on the floor.
Yeah, they are gross. That is brutal.
It is. And again, this
head smashed in at the back.
This comes back to that it uses gore at certain times to really reinforce a point. And
in which case, this was how brutal the main villain is.
I mean, you see Dredd just pull one back, look at the mouth because there's no identification, and that's when he spots the
slow-mo
burn.
Yeah.
And that's
another bit of a chaos theory there, because if they hadn't decided to do that, or if Kay hadn't sent Mama to do that, then it would have made the case harder
and
for
it's
them.
off that we get the exposition on what slow-mo is, and that's where it's...
Brings the brain down to 1% its normal speed.
Yeah, and it explains why we're seeing what we're seeing when it's used.
Yeah.
I just think, again, it tells you when you need to know it. You've got the question by that point of what is this, but it answers it, but it just answers it so quickly and then moves on.
It's good that they don't reveal everything straight away as they occur, because they set up those things like Enigma codes, which are these things in a film, things that you want to find out, and it's no fun if you get told everything in a film straight away.
But then the medic introduces us to the Marmar clan as well.
Well, they ask, is there a problem with it? And that's where he tells them
Don't
about
fuck
the
with the Marmar clan.
That's where we found out, like, Mama's background, of that she was a prostitute that basically got
Feminized her pimp.
Yeah, but got slashed up and then went and just was brutal back.
Yeah.
And that overreaction's what you see at the start, and that very much reinforces the...
Her experience changed her viewpoint on the world and made her the person she is.
Yeah, she was created that way as opposed to born that way.
Yeah.
Which was quite interesting.
She's definitely not on the right track, baby.
No, but I explained how ruthless she was with how she took control of the tower.
Yeah.
How...
Says how she took out all the rival gangs.
I was uncompromising.
Yeah.
And it made a note to say that she's starting to spread out to other areas now as well.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a good way to set up just how bad the bad guy of this film is.
Yeah, that you can take out entire gangs.
But again, it was only about 30 seconds of just his backstory done, which I thought was really good. But
that's all you need sometimes.
Effective to the point.
Yeah. I mean, this is where you got a couple of Easter eggs of 3 different chief judges from the comics were named on slides. When they showed a slide of each gang that's been killed off, they had Francisco, Silva and Magruder. All 3 of them were chief judges in the comics at various points. So 2 of them having been paid in the previous film as well, which was a nice little nod. Because I mean, this film is full of those nods.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the last nod I'll be like, that's where another reference, because it's full of...
Throughout the film, he's just like, just see that!
I mean, it's such fan service, but that's what fans wanted.
Yeah, but it doesn't detract from it.
No.
So if you're not a fan and you're going
into it... It flashed up on the screen, which you'd only know if you were looking at it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I thought it was absolutely fantastic.
That was awesome, yeah. You get an awesome shootout.
Is this at the drug den?
Yes, so they go to this drug den.
But before, just before the drug den, he has a pop at her about not wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it was such a good way of saying, where's your helmet, rookie?
Again, you're talking about the father figure again.
Yeah.
And how that worked out in that one line.
It was just, where's your helmet, rookie? And she just goes, oh, it
interferes with my psychic powers.
And that comeback he had. Just...
A bullet would interfere with it more.
Oh, that was brilliant.
He's
it's
super.
It's like, get your coat on. It's cold outside.
And then for the second time, he asks, are you ready? And she says... Yes, sir, and he goes, you don't look ready.
And it's just like, no, it's just the adrenaline.
Yeah.
I'm just pumped up for it. And then...
It's the first time she's in combat.
I mean, then
I'd assume.
They break in, and you get it from the viewpoint of someone that's gone in just before they've arrived, who's on slow-mo. And you get this in and out flashes of the shot will be just outside of slow-mo, and then you see the death of someone in slow-mo. And that was really... It was jarring, but really good.
Some brutal kills as well. Just the one where he shoots the fat guy.
And the ripples.
The ripples on the... And then the guy gets shot right through the face.
Yeah.
It is...
I called it...
It's some pornography, that's what that
I
is.
called that 3D porn.
Yeah.
Because it felt very much made for 3D at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
That was the only time in the film
I remember seeing it was awesome.
That's the only point in the film where I was like, no, that really is just a 3D moment. It worked in 2D.
Yeah.
It looked really good. It was really stylish.
Yeah.
But I can imagine that, particularly in 3D, being like the scene that really wins you over.
Yeah, it was a key moment.
As you said, to emphasise the psychedelic of all of this, apart from being in slow-mo, was all of a sudden these bursts of colour that were being used. And as you said, the block itself, as in is a character, is sort of very like, it's like greys, like that sandy stone colour was used.
It's almost like a concrete colour.
It wasn't anything phenomenal. So that whenever colour was introduced, it gave a life. It
really
symbolised something. Yeah.
They take Kay, who was their prisoner, because Anderson used the psychic powers to figure out that he is the one.
See, when
that
she's
killed
just
them.
before she figures it out after the gun battle, I found it interesting that she has that moment of she's holding the gun, but she's zoned out. She's almost in her own little world.
Yeah,
And
this is
for the
an
first-
alien to her.
So this is the first time Dredd actually uses her name.
Yeah.
He's called a rookie all that point up to then, and then to snap her out of it, he says Anderson, and that's it. Snaps her out, and she gives judgment.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really interesting.
Don't tell me, tell Control.
I just found it really interesting the way that they're using the word rookie most of the film,
Yeah.
but they use her name in key points to really almost reinforce that, no, you've got to do this.
She's building an identity through the film as well.
Yeah.
I think that plays a part in that.
Definitely.
But yeah, again, some of the one-liners that
Yeah.
I said around there are just fantastic. Too many
He
to
is
comment on,
superb.
but
Yeah. So they take Kay prisoner because she used the psych powers to pick up that he is the one behind those fucking brutal murders.
Yeah.
He's the one that skinned them and threw them over the end.
And the reason they take him captive was that whole line of, is it him? I'm 99% sure. He's like, well, 99% sure.
Can't
it's good
execute someone on 99%.
enough. Exactly.
Yeah.
Which again
why
shows...
don't you just save me the paperwork and confess?
Yeah.
Oh, and I got very much to the Dirty Harry vibes at that point of very just save me the work. Just confess, I'll shoot you, you'll be dead, and I don't have to slave away over a desk for a bit.
I am running out of ink!
I've gone through 7 Parker pens this month.
99!
You know how expensive they are?
Not very, because I steal them, but... Uh-oh.
Mama's alerted to the fact that they've got him.
That's
Siege
when
of
we meet the
clan tech.
clan tech, yeah.
And that's when they start the procedure of doing the locking down the whole block.
Yeah.
So they phone it in and get permission, and this is where you see almost the lengths he has to go to because he's almost scared of her. But it's
Terrified, you
not,
can
at this
see.
point, it's
yeah.
terrified, but it's not
She's
a
a
physical.
lumen figure over him. She's
Yeah,
there
He's
right
very
next
sort of
to him.
beta male.
And she just sort of looks out of the corner of his eye at him at the times where he looks like he's struggling with his debate with this operator. And right as soon as it's sorted, you can see the relief in him. And that's incredible acting, I've got to say.
And I mean,
To play that fear.
Just after this is one of my favourite scenes in the whole film, just where they're on the lift and they're taking care down, and you just hear Anderson say, he's going to go for your gun.
Yep.
No, he's not.
Yep.
I just love it. I just think that's so well done.
I love the confidence in Dredd as well. Like, he's like, yeah, probably will.
Yeah, and I think at that point that's where you see like the passive psychic effect she has.
Yeah.
And I just think it's such a good scene because it just plays them all off perfectly of the criminals looking to backstab them and get away.
Yeah.
You've got Dredd who's in control of the whole situation.
Yeah.
And her just using her powers but not understanding he's in control.
Yeah.
So good.
It
Yeah.
was
I see what you did
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I knew you would say that.
I knew you'd say that.
Ooh,
But
reference.
you also see that the tech guy's got this cybernetic eye sort of thing, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it zooms in and out.
Yeah.
That was...
Although considering all he ever does is use the computer, I don't know what use it is. But oh well.
So then we get the actual
The lockdown. Yeah.
What I love is, again, when they're walking towards the front door, the homeless guy's still there, and he goes, right, you, with me.
And then the door just slams down on him.
And it is...
Should have listened to Dredd. Yeah, I mean, that was it. It was, if you don't follow the law, it was almost like a wink to the
He
audience.
gave-
Follow the law, otherwise this will happen.
Yeah, he almost gave him a free pass because he had something else to do, and on his way out he's like, right, you're coming with me, and then he dies, and all you can think is, it's your own fault. That's
Yeah.
all you can think at that point is you've been warned.
It was some of that comedic violence though that the
Well,
comics
there's a
saw.
if you notice, there was a sign just next to where the homeless guy was saying, keep this area clear at all times because of the blast door.
Oh, of course.
So
yeah.
it was just brilliant, like, oh, you didn't follow health and safety. It's almost a very British thing to be happy about,
It's
isn't
not
it?
Yeah.
health and safety.
Oh, you didn't follow health and safety, and you got punished.
This is what every health and safety executive thinks is going to happen to people if they don't follow health and safety rules. What I liked about the lockdown, the biggest part was the fact that it was such a great story vehicle. You know, the lockdown, the characters immediately had a target on the back, they had nowhere to go.
It limited the scope of the film as well to one place, which
Yeah.
was nice.
It directed them, it gave them a purpose and
Yeah.
gave them motion. It set everything in play regardless of whether the characters wanted to move or not. And again, they had no other choice but to go forward, no other choice but to go in this direction, which I love because, as you said, that you can have stories going all over the place, but this as a vehicle, this was fantastic. It was very 1, 2, 3, 4. This is what's
Yeah.
happening.
Then we had the Mama speech,
over
which
the
I
tannoy,
put
yeah.
next to it, like almost the way that it used a couple of scenes looking up towards the penthouse from the bottom, almost as like she was a voice of God.
Yeah,
That
I've put
mothering-
down that she sees peach trees as her kingdom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that she's the queen. This is her kingdom, and if you're an invader, you're going to suffer.
And again, it's interesting because she warns the
Yes.
get out of her gang's way because of what they're going to go after.
And she
these
still
judges.
needs all of her underlings. So yeah.
So I thought it was really that very much then sets off us and them in the film. It very clearly creates that divide.
You could say, I mean, there was like the film The City of God, the Brazilian film, which you know had a lot of the whole gangs being
I
involved.
haven't seen that, but I've heard it's amazing.
Well, a lot of sort of struggling areas will find people turn into crime, and that was kind of the premise of this film, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
People were forced into this way of life
Because they had
no
nothing
other
else
means,
to do. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you've got
At least
Dredd
being part
facing
of
an
this
entire...
clan gives them some level of power, even no matter how minimal it is, some level of control.
You know what? Not once was a bad guy overacted.
No,
Even like it.
not like that guy at the start of Judge Dredd.
You want to be afraid of anyone? Be afraid of me.
Yeah, no one was just evil. Obviously, Mama was evil,
They all
but she
had-
wasn't over the top.
But they
evil.
all had purpose for being it. There was always a background. That
You can
made
see how
them-
they got from A to B.
Yeah. There was no black and white on any of them. They were all quite a
There's
very
a lot of
shades
yellow.
grey. There were about 50 shades of grey. So then we had the what I called the staircase shootout.
Yeah, where you just it was a fairly small scene, really, but it was cool.
It was a small scene, but you see them almost not expecting to be in there for the long haul. They throw gas grenades. They've got respirators on. They move quick. And it's very precise shooting. There's no waste in what they do. It's all precise movements. It's over quite quick, but you don't want shooting action scenes to really be drawn out because shooting scenes should be quick. So I mean, it's one shot, each guy's dead.
Yeah, he's just like.
Which again, if you were to reference that back to like the Western genre, like Quickest in the West kind of thing, you know, like shooting, you know.
On those days, the reason they did the shootouts is they had like 50% chance of either of them surviving because the guns were that shit. Well, then you've got they get to the med centre after they've taken out all of those guys on the stairway.
They get to near the med centre.
Yes.
They're kind of in the stairwell, ready to go into like the area.
I got what I thought might have been either a homage or a slight piss take of RoboCop.
Where was that?
The bit where he rolls in the stun grenade.
Yeah.
And then he gets on that small speaker.
Yeah.
And he says 20 seconds to comply. Well, at the start of RoboCop, you have Ed 209, the other like police robot that they're developing, and that's his whole thing. You have 14 seconds to comply. You have 10 seconds
But I
to
like
comply.
the fact you've got the bad guy just talking back, and again, it's not just we're going to kill you because we're going to kill you. It was all very much a cockiness of we're untouchable, we're the best.
Yeah.
And it was really good because as the bad guys came into the scene, it really focused on one guy. Which at the time, when I first watched it, I didn't understand why it focused on this one guy.
Yeah.
Then you've got Dredd threatening them. Then you've got the actual shootout.
Yeah.
Which, again, so effective. Because they used the flash grenade, they didn't have to show any blood.
No.
It was all because it stunned the camera.
Yeah.
So as an audience member, you can't see like you were stunned.
You're disorientated with the whole...
Yes,
And again, like the staircase, it's over so quick. It's over in a few seconds.
And Anderson has to take her first life as well.
This is where she's not just shot someone, but she's got to execute this man for the crimes he's done.
And it's really well acted
And
by Olivia Philby.
This is the same guy it's already focused on as well. So
Yes, yeah.
It has a bit more meaning.
And you see her expression as she pulls that trigger as well.
Well, the hesitation before
Yeah.
he has to almost threaten her into it away.
Some
you're on a test.
Yeah. In some ways, she looks relieved, ever so slightly, when she does it. But it's also relieved with regret. She didn't want to have to do that, but she had to do that.
Just quickly jumping back to the section where before the gunfight, and as we were saying before, before they were giving them the opportunity to lay down the weapons and the rest of it. And I was saying the way the camera angle worked, it had Dredd peering around the corner. And again, as I said, you could liken that to a father figure, but as well, the first impression I got was kind of it was a low angle, so you were looking up at Dredd. You kind of had him peering around the corner. He had a very big presence about him. And again, as I said, you could liken that to a father figure about to punish the kids for misbehaving. Or you could treat it as like a boogeyman. He was kind of like, he is a presence.
To them, that's what he is.
Yeah, he is like, he's the law. And of course that, again, I think there's something that elevates this character to a whole different status. You know, as you said, the block legends, and all of a sudden you've got Dredd coming through the halls, and there's a way in all of it, the way the sound is used, or the way the camera's used, to emphasise this guy, and he's bigger than them, he's more dangerous. And again, I thought it was very much like the boogeyman, just looking around the corner kind of thing. You've got an idea that he's just lurking there, ready to strike, and I like that.
I thought it was interesting that in his speech he said, "This is the law." Like, he's representing the bigger faction as well. Which
he understands he's just a cog in the machine.
Which was good, because it was very much that it's not me just doing this. I have this full might of the judge department behind me.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really well done.
Could have been also a reference in Anderson. She was there as well, wasn't she?
Well, that's it. I had that plural in there. I just thought it alluded to bigger things outside of that situation.
Yeah. And then you get the medic who's they're saying there's no sides in this. I can't help you.
Yeah, he's got no balls.
Yeah,
basically.
He pussy's out.
Yeah, he doesn't take a side. He's like, I'm going to sit this one out.
He is essentially a civilian, though.
But he essentially tells them you've got a hopeless situation. And it gives them the foil.
Like, I'm going to throw my love spuds on the barbecue with you. Yeah. No way.
Yeah, it's very much got that. It's a hopeless situation, so it gives them the foil to, no, we haven't, and prove him wrong through the film. And he makes a point of saying the odds are against you getting out here alive. She's got an army and you're just two.
We have a Hulk.
We have a Dredd.
I love that at the end he just gets to Mama and just starts throwing her around the room by her foot. Puny God.
So then we find out that there's something on floor 26 they have to go up to. Is it the medic that tells them that? They go up to floor 26 and they're on the way up there for something, and basically they get...
Yeah, there's a bunch of them coming, and Anderson uses her psychic powers to find out the name of someone behind one of the doors in the apartments.
Yeah, so they're hiding in the doorwell.
Yeah.
Like just out of sight, and she uses her psychic mumbo-jumbo to get Kathy to let them in.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of solace for them. You were saying that it was a red door.
Yeah.
It's
that was the first time where I kind of clicked on a...
It was also interesting that they used deception to get in.
Yes.
And that's the first time
you see the enemy.
Yeah, you see that maybe they're not 100% good guys.
Yeah.
Because they're having to use devious tactics to survive.
Purely to not get shot. Yeah.
And the wife is very distrusting of them as well, but she says she's not going to turn them in.
Because her husband's out there, so she sends them up. She's like, this elevator takes you above 75.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, and that's when she finds out the guy who she had to execute is the husband of the woman that's just helped them.
So you immediately get that arc for Anderson.
Well, you see it. You see the way she acts and the way that it's written and shot. You see that dawning on her of, what have I done? That this action I had to do has a wider consequence.
Yeah.
Which is, I thought, very good as a small story in itself.
Yeah. I noticed as well there was a little bit in there where, with Mama talking about spreading production, that's where I've got how the blocks are kind of like nations. She wants to bring these blocks together all under her control. Yeah. She wants to make her own empire, not just be the queen of this level.
She doesn't want to be a big fish in a small pond.
Yes.
She wants to be a big fish in a big pond.
Yeah. But she wants to have everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything that you can have, possibly. So I noticed that.
I mean, once they get out of that room, we switch over to the tech guy, and essentially he's showing Mama that Dredd and Anderson have basically shot their way through everyone they've come across, and are doing well. I've written down evil plan means evil smirk, because that smile she gives is just sinister.
Yeah. So they split up, Anderson and Dredd, at one point.
Well, no, they get locked on floor 76. The smirk comes because they lock them down. They know exactly where they are and they can't move.
Yeah.
So then Dredd and Anderson have to figure out what we're going to do now.
Yeah.
We're trapped like lemons.
So Dredd leaves Anderson with Kay.
Yeah.
who is an absolute dickhead. You finally get to see how much of a dick he is.
I mean, he's not meant to be a nice guy, but the way that's written and acted, oof.
He's a scumbag. Yeah. That's it. You can't. He's an impossible character to like in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And that's really good because we live in a world now where there are a lot of really likable bad guys.
I mean, just before we find that, after the split up, what I quite like is you get Dredd walking down the corridor, and you see everyone jumping inside the flats, locking the doors, and how everyone's shunning Dredd.
They don't want to be involved
because of Mama's threat. And I thought that was fantastic, showing just how alone they are. So then we get to where you've got, after the corridor walk of Dredd, you've got Anderson standing guard with Kay.
Yeah.
And this is where...
he's talking some shit.
This is where basically you find out just how anti-mutant Kay is. And I mean, you've seen the graffiti...
It seems more like he's anti-woman.
Well, no, you saw the graffiti earlier on the wall saying no muties.
Yeah.
And suddenly you just see that he's really enforcing the... I don't like mutants, because he says you lot normally have 3 arms or no arms.
Yeah.
And that kind of really doesn't like them.
But you fit together just right.
And so you see him being really seedy towards her, and this is where you get the first sign of just how powerful a psychic she is.
Yeah, he imagines himself raping her, and she forces her to see it. She has control.
Yeah.
You actually see when she's away from Dredd, she does have some sort of dominating spirit.
See the power of the character.
She knows who she is.
She even gets a good line in here as well.
She gets
when he says you should save the last bullet for yourself if you get caught, and she says I'll make sure to save the second last one for you.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
And I mean, I like the fact that all through this film they don't save the one-liners just for Dredd.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
Which is something that is opposite to the first film.
Yeah.
So she didn't get any.
But by the end, it definitely looks like she gets a bit flustered by Kay as well. Though.
Yeah. Well, she's still new to this world. Yeah.
I mean, it's understandable. I mean, some of the stuff he's saying, and it just makes your skin crawl a little bit anyway.
Yeah, it's creepy.
If you're a normal human being, it makes your skin crawl anyway. Then we cut across to essentially Mama and her miniguns.
Yes.
And that's not a euphemism.
It is an awesome scene.
So I wrote video game-esque because it did feel like the shot from
it felt like a boss battle.
Yeah. And it was just...
She doesn't give a fuck who she tears through.
And the thing is,
she'll mow down everyone.
They're setting it up in the open. The people see this happening. They're running away.
And she's still mowing them down.
And when they
just before that, they did a kind of scene where they had the innocent sort of civilians run off into their houses, as much good as it would have done them. And again, you put that into a Western context where the bad guys or the good guys or whoever are stepping out,
main street,
and then all of a sudden you've got them leading the kids off out of the way, out of danger. And obviously it makes absolutely no difference by this point because this machine gun goes through everything.
It just blows everyone away. It's kind of ironic to me that they call it a minigun because fuck me.
Yeah, I mean, it just tears the whole side of the building now.
Absolutely annihilates.
I mean, you've got Dredd running away from it, and he only just makes it to behind the lift shaft, so that's reinforced. But even then, you see that's not going to last.
Yeah.
And then you get the lucky bit where a bullet's gone through the wall. They see the sunlight, so they break out and just jump.
Yeah.
They have no idea if they're going to survive. They just go.
Yeah.
So they've escaped this carnage. You essentially get the bad guys go up and just are essentially told go find the body, confirm the kill.
Which you found refreshing.
I found it refreshing because there wasn't an assumption there that they were dead.
Yeah.
Almost like Mama was going, these are judges, they're highly trained, they might have survived.
When the place they get to is like this little outside skate park.
Yeah.
Where a load of the Jews are, or the kids.
Yeah.
Are all out there playing. And you notice a complete shift in colour and tone.
Well, it's outside.
Like what you were saying as well.
Yeah, it's outside at this point. They've got
you get relaxed. You can finally breathe for the first time.
Isn't it for half an hour?
It gives you a relief as an audience member.
For like half an hour, you've been in this very claustrophobic environment in the film, and then suddenly it's open. There's communication to the outside. The colour palette changes, and it is a breath of fresh air.
You can literally see the air.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of snow in the air, isn't there, almost? And it just stands apart so well from what they've just come from, this firestorm and hell, to almost this calm.
And you can finally get through to the control centre as well.
Yeah, they can say,
so
we've got an
some
issue.
Backup, but you can't stay there, because they'd be like shooting fish in a barrel if you did.
Yeah, well, they're 75 floors up on a skate park.
Yeah.
It's not going to go well. And they're locked out. These kids were locked out, so they've just been chilling out there for half a day.
They're a lot safer than everyone else in there.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I don't know, it looks rather unsafe just having this bit of concrete sticking out the side of this building. Oh, no.
So they go back in, and you get that awesome scene where Mama's looking out over the balconies, where she's like looking at handiwork.
You get Dredd. You see Dredd start taking out these people looking to confirm the kill, and then you just see the smoke and Dredd appear dragging someone.
Just throws him over the balcony
and turns and immediately walks away. Doesn't hang around. Doesn't no longing look. It's just boom, gone.
And you get to see this look on Mama's face where she's like, "Oh fuck, this guy's a bit of a badass."
And it's just he's just doing his job.
Yeah,
you can all what you were saying kind of how she is almost the anti-Dredd. It's the way in which these things are matched and mirrored throughout the film. You know, you're talking about the PA system, you're talking about her throwing these guys off, him throwing a guy off.
Yeah.
It's almost like they are
parallel.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting that they choose to feature this in very different points.
It's like they're like the same sort of person who live their life different ways.
Yeah, on the both on the extreme spectrum of.
That's sort of what makes Mama a great villain. I think there's a few theories about having a villain, as similar to a hero as possible. Marvel do it all the time in their films. If you look, Loki is the antithesis of Thor in it. In the first Iron Man film, his main villain was the Iron Obadiah Stane, but he was another sort of giant version of Iron Man, essentially. You get this in these, and that's what makes for, at least, gets you halfway there to a good villain. With the exception of Loki, not many of the Marvel villains have been nearly as on par as Mama is, because she still has her own voice even in that.
Yeah.
That's what I've sort of seen anyway.
There's something about having a female antagonist as well, which I find just so effective. I don't know what it is.
I think it's the fact that the background you see that she's come from a almost abused start.
She's been a victim.
She was a
and
victim,
now she's a victimizer.
She took control and then went over the top, and now she just wants the world in her arms, kind of thing. And she'll stop at
She wants to mother the world, hence Mama.
Yeah, she just wants control and doesn't want anyone to control her again. That's why I think she doesn't care about the judges.
We finally get some of the backup judges coming to Peach Trees.
I'd say before that we have the bit where they go into the classroom.
Oh yes,
we get the
and
bit,
he interrogates. He interrogates Kay.
He interrogates in his way, which is just punch him in the face, rough him up.
It's good cop, bad cop, in
and
a very
then
weird way.
But then you get Anderson. But then what you don't realise is Dredd's really the good cop here, because Anderson steps up and does mind games, and this is where
fucks him up.
And this is what you were saying earlier about you find it better when you don't see it. We get some flashes, but we see the intel she's getting.
Yeah.
But what we don't see is the stuff she's doing behind the scenes, and all we get as a result of it is him pissing himself.
Yeah, and bleeding out the nose. As well.
And it's just
you see the effects of what
I just think
she's
that's
done.
so effective because it just shows how bad she can be.
She mentally castrates him. Essentially, takes all the wind out of his sails.
Yeah,
and she finds out exactly what she needs to know, that this place is not just where they sell the slo-mo drug, but also the factory for the slo-mo drug.
And it's the sole factory as well.
Yes.
So they take that factory out, they take the whole drug out.
And
then we get two judges show up.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is one of them...
the Red Herring Cavalry.
See, one of them we find out later is called Judge Vault. Oh. He's quite a big character in the comics, again. And they basically show up and buzz and go, let us in. And this is where the tech guy just goes, I can't see the fire. It's jammed up all our systems.
And he is in the process at the time. Got a knife held to him by Mama.
Stomach as well, which again, what could you...
It was right in the belly button, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like literally threatening to gut him.
Slice him open, yeah.
You're seeing her threats to him become more.
They've gone from being just the mere presence to a very physical threat, and I thought it worked so well.
It establishes her dominance. You're talking about how she has complete control of this entire male population of villains, and again how she takes this one character who's very passive. Even you could imagine the way they've built him up here to be a very passive character regardless, and how she's threatening and tormenting this.
He seems like a normal guy in a bad situation.
Yeah, and it's precisely just how willing she is to abuse these kind of characters.
In many ways, he's kind of like a slave because of his abilities. She's got full control over him. He gets nothing out of this.
Apart from to survive.
Apart from that, he's paid in survival.
Not live, survive.
Yeah. He gets the ability to exist. out of that, and it's rough. Like,
yeah, it's dark. Which obviously is the point.
I really like the next bit where they're
we see two young kids as well. Like, what, 12, 13 years old?
Yeah, little young teenagers. Yeah.
They're your buddy cop film. There we go. They're the ones.
They're the film we wanted to see.
Yeah. I actually want a little spin-off film
deserve.
about how they got to that point.
Yeah.
I think that'd be great.
I honestly thought for a second that was Lethal Weapon's beginning.
I'm getting too young for this shit. I'm a judge. I have diplomatic immunity. It's just been revoked.
I love the fact, though, that they're shown to just be so useless. He just does not care. He's just like, what? We said hold it. He's like, why? You've got the safety on.
Why?
You've got the safety on. Then he's like, flicks the safety off.
What's it going to be? Body bags or Juve cubes?
The thing I liked about all this was it is quite comedic almost, that going on, but at the same time you've got a very serious thing of Kay's getting free.
Yeah.
Like, he's cutting his bindings and then he's about to turn the tables. Dredd stuns them, but Kay takes control of Anderson, and it's over in about 2 seconds. And it's that the action's always very quick in this film.
Yeah.
And so suddenly
it shows as well that Dredd, there are some things Dredd won't do.
But I mean,
as well.
Dredd's
how he does just stun these kids.
He's gone through like all these attacks. He's just gone through, killed mercilessly, and then suddenly there's 2 kids who are not a threat, and that splits Dredd and Anderson, because Dredd takes them out, but Anderson's taken her eye off the prisoner, and that's it. The tables have been turned. The whole film story takes a turn.
Yeah, he gets her into the elevator and then he's like, "You are so fucked." It's like, oh, Jesus. And then you get surly Dredd being surly. Yeah. As he looks at it, he's just like, watching the what floor they're going to.
Yeah, he just watches it go right to the top.
So Kay brings Anderson to the clan's
It's essentially their headquarters.
He brings him to the penthouse, and he's like, "What am I going to do to you?" Because he wants revenge. He wants vindictive revenge.
Did you notice how casual Mama was just on the stairs? Like, she didn't walk in; she was just sat there.
Yeah, she didn't rush.
She just stood up, and she's just like, "I should kill you. You got taken."
Dominating.
Punches him in the face. No one else moves. He doesn't respond either.
But her volume never goes up. She doesn't
need to.
Yeah.
It's complete control.
Yeah, that shows just how much power she has over this clan. I'll put them down in my notes, an overpowering presence amongst them. You get the techie guy alert Mama that Dredd's about to get on the speakerphone. That he's hacking into a speakerphone system.
He's getting into the PAs.
He's getting into the PA. And,
which is the first time you were saying earlier, this is where it starts to flip, because he's using the PA now. Yeah, after she's just given speech to a small group.
Transition of power.
So and they're tracking which floor he's on based on that as well.
Yeah, they're like, well, let him speak because we can work out exactly where he is and take him out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he gives that awesome speech, just saying he basically brings Mama down to everyone's level. She's just a common criminal.
Yeah, and
she means nothing to him.
Passes judgment.
Yeah.
One thing I really like about this scene as well is the way it's shot and the way it looks. I mean, if you watch the way they cut to Mama and the other, like the crooks and the villains and who were with her at the time, there's a very defeat. This is the whole thing about the performances and how good the performances were, because they were very downtrodden. The other people around her, they were looking down. They had very defeated body language, and you had that interspersed with cuts of the other people in the building, like the tenants, the vulnerable people. And as you said, it brought her down to this common criminal level. Yeah. It also undermined her power completely.
Yes.
I like the fact that when in his speech, this is when he uses the "I am the law."
Yeah, it's the first and only time he uses it in the film.
One, it's either because he's by himself, or it's a callback to the original, or the famous phrase just from the comic.
Yeah.
But I like to think it's also that at the start, when he's saying "this is the law," it's very, we're just doing a job. But now it's almost become personal. And this is where he's like saying, "No, I'm the law," at this point. This has gone past it just being above. This is personal between me and you.
Yeah.
And I thought that was quite a nice gear change in it of, they're not just trying to get out now, there are higher stakes.
Yeah. And it's a bunch of the thugs find the PA's at.
Yeah, so
and I see a shadow in yellow. Hey.
They've zeroed in on his location at this point.
And shoot the fuck out of it, but open it up, and it's just a dead body there. And he's just on the other side with a fucking
incendiary
bullet and just burns fuck out of all of
No,
them.
what I love, again, it uses that upward shot that they used on the minigun scene, but for the incendiary to show the bullet going in and then spreading so it hits them all.
Yeah.
And it was just, again, that nice, like the PA system, that nice mirror of this is his trap.
Yeah.
And he just takes out a load of them.
Even when you think you're in control, he's in control.
Again, it shows that, like, Mama used 3 miniguns, lots of bullets to destroy a lot. He used 1 bullet.
Yeah.
And took out everyone in one go.
And that's essentially when Kay asks the question, how are we going to stop this guy?
Because he
understands how dangerous he is.
I like to think that's almost at that point, he's just like, no, this is me, I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
This is personal.
Yeah.
Now that he doesn't have Anderson by his side, he can cut loose as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that plays into it. He can...
he's not looking over someone.
Yeah, he's looking out for himself. And
no longer the father figure looking after the child.
So when
he's literally the father getting the child back.
So when Kay says how we're going to take care, Mama gets her one-liner then of just
call 911.
Call 911, and then we get
you instantly know what the hell is this,
and then we get the 4 judges showing up
who relieve the previous judges,
who come up and they don't just relieve them; they really have
emasculate them in a way.
Yeah, and undermine them, and they're just like, "What are you doing stood out here?" Well, the door's blocked, and they use it. Door opens, and they're just like, "You're useless." It's really
something's not right at this point.
Yeah, and so they're rocking in, and then you get the medic grows some balls, and actually comes out. And what I love is he just spills the beans about what's gone on. And I just love the fact they just go, "We testify to that? Hell yeah, I will!" And then he gets shot. And it's almost like you punished for being brave.
Yeah.
Too little, too late.
Yeah. It was definitely a trope, wasn't it? It was kind of used as one of those.
It's always what was going to happen.
Moments, yeah.
So instantly from there, we just see them arrive up at the top floor, and then you get essentially her paying them off.
Do you know who he is? I do.
So
1 million.
So he's just like 1 million. She's taken back by it, and he's just like, "We know exactly who this is. You've got to pay a lot of money." And there's such an arrogance about them that they think they can deal with the situation that so easily that they don't even really mention Anderson. Again, they call her rookie.
Yeah, they're just convinced they can deal with her. I mean, it was that whole, we're talking back to the genres that were used in the action films, the dirty cops, basically. This, again, is like a staple in those kind of films where people are taking backhanders, they're used all over the place, and they are,
later on, we get an explanation for why they're doing it, the motive.
Speaks a lot about this world.
Yeah.
So, Dredd bumps into one of the corrupt judges. Chan, I think.
Well, before that, what I like is you get Dredd look at his gun and he's just looking at all the ammos, and it shows he's almost out. So that he's going to have to be really careful at this point. He's starved of ammo, and so then you got him weaving through, and I think it was you noticed the corridor he's walking down has 2 yellow lights on, but the one he's about to turn into has a flashing yellow.
Yeah, flickering.
And it was almost like if it had been yellow red, it would have really enforced your point at that.
Yeah, I was loving it at that point
because I mean in the scene earlier,
I was finishing the cigarette.
When he said there's trap, it's all yellow, but they walk past the theatre sign. And that's bright red. Yeah. And so then you pointed out then as well, and we weren't sick of it by then, honest.
Yeah, sick of me being right.
So then Dredd bumps into Chan, and he sees right through it, pretty much.
I love the start where you just see, even though Dredd will have noticed it was a judge, he instantly, both of them, on the wall, not trusting each other.
Yeah.
With that almost like...
I love that mirror raise of the guns.
I would have loved if they did that famous scene from, the Marx Brothers sort of thing that they did, where it's like the mirror, and they're like... Yeah, they're just sort of mimicking each other, like waving. I'd have loved if they did that.
But I like the fact that they're just talking shop with each other, basically.
Yeah.
And then Dredd's just like, what about Anderson?
Yeah.
And the other guy's like...
Funny how you didn't mention who I was with.
Yeah, he doesn't even name her at that
point.
And
he just fucks him up.
He's just like, oh, let's have this fist fight. And it's just... I love the bit where he's choking Dredd. He's like, choke on this! And Dredd just turns the tables, smashes him in the throat, tips him over, and he's just like, choke on that. It was just such good one-liners.
It was great, yeah.
It just felt like they didn't even need to fight. They were just having one-liners.
And it shows that
It was right
Dredd's
on the-
competent not just with firearms.
Or
Yeah.
with people and reading the
But
room.
it
Yeah.
showed how good other judges were as well, though, because the other guy wasn't a pushover. It was a hard fight.
That was the closest anyone's come to getting one over
at
on
that
him.
point. Yeah. And after that, we get the other two judges come around the corner with Chan just hitting the floor.
Yeah. And then we cut to Kay with Anderson.
Yeah.
And he's playing around with the lawgiver gun of hers that he took off her, losing a primary weapon. One of the reasons she can fail. And he says how he's always wanted to use one of these. Then Anderson gets another cracking line in. And he says, got any last words, bitch? And she just goes, that's funny. I was going to ask you the same question, bitch.
Yeah, and then we get the explosion on his hand again.
That's
when
gruesome.
it uses gore, it uses it well.
Yeah.
We just see him go to his knees and her just fuck him up.
Just roundhouse kick him.
And at that point, the female judge that arrived with those 4 judges, her task is to deal with Anderson.
Yeah.
She's like, lock this door behind me, no one comes through, I'm going to deal with her because she's going to hesitate when she sees me. And again, it's that underestimation of her.
And that's come from a female character.
And
Yeah.
she takes out 2 more thugs before this as well.
Yeah.
And takes their weapon.
But then we cut to the drug lab.
Yes.
So Dredd's gone in, dealing with the drug lab, but he's being hunted by these 2 other judges now.
Yeah.
So you've got this 2v1.
One with a fucking massive machine gun.
One's got a shotgun, the other one's got his pistol, but they're not just shooting willy-nilly, like, they're really going for it.
Yeah, these are pros.
And this is where we see Dredd kind of almost lose his cool a little bit, because this is the first time we don't see one-shots.
Yeah.
These guys are harder because they're taking, like, he's missing shots now.
And he's pretty much out of ammo.
Yeah,
as well.
And so I thought that was an interesting little thing, from how ruthless and precise he was earlier on.
Yeah, it's how emotional it's becoming.
Yeah, it's really irked him almost.
Yeah.
It was amazing when he hit one of the judges with the high X, though.
Oh, yeah.
He blew his top half off.
It
Like,
just
fucking hell.
I just look. He's cycling through. He's out of bullets, and he's just cycling through, trying to find something to shoot with.
Yeah.
And then finally, just gets the high X, blows the guy's head up again, uses it gruesomely, but makes the point that it's an important kill.
But the other judge that's coming after him, still alive, knows he's out of bullets.
It was interesting because once the guy's head exploded, it went back to Anderson again.
Yeah.
And we get Anderson versus the female judge.
Yes, yeah.
This is brilliant because you just see they have like 2 lines of dialogue each.
You expected more, but you're glad it didn't end up being more.
Yeah, Anderson just senses instantly what she's there for and just kills her.
Yeah. The chief judge and Dredd are the only ones that know what Anderson can do.
Yeah.
That seems to be the case.
Mm.
And obviously
The thing
Kay.
that bugged me here was she didn't pick up the lawgiver from the other judge.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand why she didn't pick the gun up. That was the only thing
Because
in the film.
it's matched to your own DNA.
No, but it said ID. Any judge can use any lawgiver in theory.
Alright.
I'm pretty sure. I'm not.
I thought it was only matched to certain IDs.
I wasn't sure. I thought it was just a judge could use it, but it could be any judge.
Maybe it didn't really matter to her.
I
She's already
mean,
lost
we're
her.
talking semantics here.
Yeah.
At this point,
Yeah,
but
his hand was still gone.
Oh, yeah, she's already lost her original
yeah, her
one,
gun's
so-
blown up.
Yeah.
It was more that I didn't understand that as a judge, she would probably be more comfortable with the lawgiver than the assault rifle she had. Then we go back to Dredd, and this is where you've got the other judge. Dredd almost tries to bluff him, and it fails.
How much to betray the law?
Yeah, and this is where you get the
$1 million bucks.
this is where you get the exposition on why.
Yeah.
Why he's doing what he's done.
How he says Mega City 1's a meat grinder.
It's a meat grinder. They don't get any reward for what they're doing.
It's jaded all these judges.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting that, again, it just gives some background context but in quite a natural way. However, Dredd would want to know, why the hell are you taking this payment? It's a proper question to ask in that situation.
Yeah.
He's trying to buy time for
And it's
himself
also
as
good
well.
to, but yeah, it's buying time, and it's getting the other ones riled up in the hope that they're going to make a mistake.
Get a feel for where they are in the room.
Yeah, but then you get the guy puts armour
Piercing.
piercing on. Dredd's hidden behind a wall, and you just see this methodical shooting through the wall, and he doesn't make a sound, but he just gets shot through and through.
Yeah.
Again, the way it's shot, Dredd's looking towards camera at that point, and you can see the gunman behind him shooting.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was a really good shot.
Yeah, great. Really awesome.
And
you see the slow slide.
That slide with the blood on the wall, the breaths become shallower as well.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was really well acted.
Then you get to see just how jealous Dredd makes all of these other judges as well. When he says...
He asks him to wait.
Asks him to wait, and this guy just flips about it, and it's like, wait for what?
The great Dredd asking me to wait. What are you waiting for?
And then Anderson just blows him away.
It was the only part of the film I would say felt a touch tacky, because it gets used so many times in films to delay something. It was good, and don't get me wrong, it was well done.
I thought it was good because of the disbelief in
Of
the
the
judge of saying,
character,
what are you on about? And whereas normally they'd be like, okay, I'll give you a minute. He's just
emotional
like, what?
The emotional reaction from that other judge was that's what made it good for me. But I do understand what you mean. It almost becomes cliched the way it gets used.
It could have been slightly more effective. I mean, as good as it was, if he'd kind of gone wait, and the guy went, nah, fuck you, and went to shoot him, and then obviously she shot him at that exact point.
Well, he's kind of in the middle of saying that though, because he's not going to wait. He's like, he's just kind of going,
taking the piss out of the fact that he said wait.
Yeah, and then he's like, I'm not going to wait, and then he goes to put his gun up at that point after saying, I'm not going to wait.
Can you imagine this guy had this conversation with his wife in bed a lot? Wait for me. Wait. No.
The last judge is actually called Lex.
That's it, yeah.
Which the irony in that is fantastic.
That it's
Lex being
Greek,
Latin for
Latin,
law.
right.
And so Anderson literally shoots law. Kills the law.
You shoot the law!
No.
Which again was something she was struggling with going through the whole thing when she let the guy go.
That's a
Oh,
bit later
that's
on.
the next scene.
Yeah,
That's
is this?
like- that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
What I liked in this one was like you got Dredd like stitching up his wound with the field pack.
Yeah.
Like they had to say a field pack. I thought it was quite amusing, but
Another war reference there.
it was interesting seeing there was no hesitation in Anderson at that point, whereas at the start there was.
She's completely
And you saw
evolved as a
And you
character.
saw
that's
Dredd
gone.
almost kind of like, you're doing
Yeah.
well, rookie. And they're starting to get that approval.
And I liked when he said, as soon as he'd gotten himself sorted out, and he said to her again, "Are you ready?"
Yeah.
And then he just goes, "You look ready."
That character growth. Was,
Yeah, that sealed her growth
well,
as a character.
that mirror again just.
Yeah.
His
Fantastic.
approval, which he wasn't going to give lightly.
Yeah. And then next we go
Then
to
we
that
got the
scene. that you've
Texas.
seen.
Right, okay, I'm jumping ahead there.
Then they've gone up to the top floor. They've kind of shot their way through a little bit, and then they kind of reach a door they can't get through, but there's a door next to it. So they're like, "Let's go in there." Then they go in and they just see a computer room, and they're about to leave when Anderson senses the tech guy.
Yeah. And he screams his head
And
off.
I mean, it's a proper
Girly scream.
scared, terrified scream of "Get off me!"
It's like he's just gone to his first Boyzone concert and he's seen Brian McFadden on stage.
I thought it was like all those horror films when like the killer's dragging the woman out of the house,
Yeah.
like that kind of scream of helplessness.
Yeah.
And
Because well, that makes sense because he is a victim.
Effectively, yeah.
In this entire film, he is a victim. And
Yeah.
you see, well, Anderson
Well,
says,
he
"I don't need you
He
for the
promises. He's like, "I can give you the code for the door," and they're like, "We don't need you to give us that. Here, we'll get it." So she gets that, but she gets a glimpse.
sees all the things Mama's done to him
Yeah.
and how she's made him this slave. And you see that his eyes were burst out of his head, and that's why he's got these technical bionic eyes.
Yeah, which we saw near the start when it was explaining how vicious Mama was. But
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily
Say
fully
that's
say
him,
that's
yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And she just says, "Get out of here," and Dredd just
Get outta here.
Dredd just lets him go.
You little scamp.
And this is what I love is the explanation to Dredd, which is she's just like, "I know I failed, but until this exercise is over, I'm still a judge. I can dispense justice how I want."
Justice, not the law.
Yeah, and I think he just kind of goes, "You got balls, kid."
Yeah.
Almost that kind of appreciation.
I wrote down that that's one of the parallels is that Anderson does this for justice, whereas Dredd is by the book law.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the bit I really liked as well. This is what I called the charge of the judges.
Yeah.
Of the beat, like the music really pumps up. And this is probably the loudest the music is, apart from like
Yeah.
when it's in the drug den. In the
It
action
reaches the
scene.
crescendo.
Yeah,
It's-
and that, like all the kills are fairly gory, and it's just they're flying through, killing everyone. I just thought it was a really good scene for they're unstoppable at this point. They've breached the last defense. They're killing everyone inside because they're after Mama.
Yeah.
And all we see while they're doing this is she puts a strange device on her wrist. She's quite calm about it, and that
It's off her
difference-
MO, isn't it, throughout the entire
Yeah,
film?
they basically arrive in her lair, and essentially they get a few bad guys, at the side get dispensed, and then she's just there in the middle. And I love there's a judge's helmet and chain on the back
Anderson
wall.
gets injured in the skirmish as well.
Yeah, so Anderson's a bit like...
She's out of the fight at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. She says to Judge Dredd that once her heartbeat stops, this wrist device will kick in and it'll blow up this entire top.
It's all wired through. There's nothing he can do to save himself. You might as well just let me go.
You don't give a fuck!
No, he's like, negotiations are over, you're gonna die. And she's like, really? And he just gunshots her. Like, no words after that, it's just his mind's made up. That slight aim change from a head shot down was really good. So she falls on the bed and you see her bleeding out, and he's like, wonder if that can go through
Wonder what the range is on that thing.
Yeah.
And so he's taking a gamble, to be fair, but...
yeah.
I love the fact that he kind of picks her up and punches her a few times, but you see it from Anderson on the floor. You've got her kind of almost like weakening, and in the background you see Dredd beating her up.
He's doing some big on wife beating there.
And then essentially he gets to the window and he's just like, slo-mo. Bit of taste of your own medicine, and that push.
That what I liked about that is it is what she did to someone else, the victims at the start of the film,
isn't it?
Yeah, you get that.
Yeah.
And that I love the fact because it's got the slow-mo in it, all the colours rush back into the scene, and it's not those dismal colours we've been seeing with only the odd like yellows and reds. It was really colourful, like when the glass breaks, every single shard of glass is bright.
What I really loved is as she was going down, you got to see some of the things she's caused as well.
Yeah.
So you got to see that destroyed level from the minigun, and you got to see those guys still on fire from when they used the incendiary.
It almost, like with the music, it's almost like a peaceful fall. Like the way she's fallen, it almost looks like the reverse of Ascension, but quite peaceful in a way.
Yeah.
And then
almost
you have the moments where it's
quick.
And then again, it just slows down to reinforce the point. When she hits the floor, oof.
Yeah,
oof.
It's like
And
it makes the judge it makes the judge helmet symbol.
Yeah,
as you were saying before, as with her blood. And then I just like Dredd's last line as after he's thrown her out, just like, yep. Oh, and as well with that bit, her wrist thing.
Oh, it goes red.
Yeah.
Colour theory.
Yeah.
I was about finished when that happened. Well, I was just so happy when I found that. It's just
Then we've got them going down in the lift, we've got return to the bottom floor, and this is where you've almost got that parent-child of she's got the injury and he's fixing her up.
Yeah.
And she's like got that middle distance of it's over, I'm not a judge anymore.
Yeah, I lost my primary
and
weapon.
she's almost like shell shook. She's just not there, completely out of it. And he's taking care of her, which I thought was quite a nice little scene to have near the end. And what I found interesting was he uses a name again at this point. So most of the film, Rookie, her name is used so infrequently in this film.
And she hands him her badge.
Yeah.
And right in the end.
She preempts it. She knows who she is anyway. It doesn't matter to her.
So
what his verdict is, regardless.
What's quite interesting as well is, in the comics, which I think is a slight call to, in the comics, she doesn't wear the same badge as the rest of the...
No, it's a PSYOPs badge.
So it doesn't have a name on. It just says PSI on, for Psy.
Well, what's also interesting is it's very reminiscent of, like, the cop films of, like, the 80s, where he used to throw the badge and the gun in and be like, I don't need this, man! And all that. And it was very reminiscent of those films.
I'm too psychic.
I'm handing my badge in. And then we get the chief judge comes up and it's kind of like, oh, so how did she do?
I went Ofsted inspector.
Well, it was just so pepped up and happy that it was like really jarring against what they've just been through. And he completely understates the whole lot.
Dredd haven't seen it all day.
Yeah, it's
how
like,
are you?
Drug fun in there, did you?
But I just love that understatement that Dredd has of everything that's gone on in the film. He's just like,
drug bust went wrong.
They were
it's another day at the office for him. It says at the beginning it's all a deep end.
Yeah.
So he's probably seen worse days.
Yeah.
And then you've got essentially that arc of, did she pass? And he's like, yep.
She's a pass.
She's a pass, and he goes and hands the badge back. Doesn't give it to her to hand back. He goes over to hand it back. Or he starts to walk to anyway.
Yeah.
And then essentially you've got another post-roll almost of the voiceovers back with the scenes, and it's kind of just the ending of the film's very much like the start, almost that mirror, like again.
Yeah.
Of it started with the voiceover.
Because nothing changes in Megacity 1.
No.
It said
that, didn't it?
Yeah. Nothing changes in this.
And you kind of notice
city.
It's literally been 24 hours.
Yeah, because they haven't made the city better.
No.
They've just done a case in the
Well,
city.
they make a point earlier on at saying,
Yeah.
do you remember that? Do you know the last time a judge was in Peachtree? And it's like, it makes the thing of, it's probably been months, if not years, since
And now
the
they
judge
had,
was there.
6 or 7 in one night?
8 judges showed up during the night. 4 dirty judges.
Yeah.
2 outside.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
So what did you take away from the film?
Damn
If you
good
don't
time.
get out of the way of a door, it'll close on you.
Yeah.
I love that film. I love it so much. It's
So,
brilliant.
If you had to score it out of 5, did we do last? I can't remember.
Yeah,
Was it out of
5
5?
last time, yeah.
Right. So what would you give?
I'm going to give it 5. I
Yeah.
liked it that much, yeah.
Joe?
3.5, only because it's not my kind of film, but it was a good film.
I'm going to give it 4.5. I think there's always bits that can be improved.
I
Like,
suppose, yeah.
I don't think a 5 out of 5 film really exists because you will always find a way to improve.
I guess not.
I enjoyed that, certainly more than I was anticipating. So, I mean, if ever, I would say this to anybody, if they were doubting about whether to watch this film, watch it, because I wasn't really looking forward to this at all, and I really enjoyed it, so...
I think it stands up as a film on its own
no,
without the background.
Yeah.
Doesn't require you to know what
No.
it's about or the source material,
No,
really.
it's
Just
just
as well,
It's just an
'cause
enjoyable film.
it's a good action
Call,
film
Yeah, it's a great sci-fi action film.
that just happens to be a Dredd film.
Yeah. But we're going from an awesome film this time around to next time, possibly by some standards, a pretty panned film, Death Note, which is going to be interesting. But we're going to watch one episode of the TV show first, and then the 90-minute Netflix movie.
Because I don't know anything about Death Note. I don't think Joe knows much.
Probably not.
You're the one that knows the
Not a
most
damn
about
clue.
this.
It'll be fun, I think. I think we'll have fun. But yeah, where can we find everyone? Haz?
So I'm on at Valkyrie Rising on Twitter.
Joe?
I'm usually in our trash can somewhere, you'll find me.
Find me at J Horner on Twitter and J Horner Illustration on Facebook and Instagram. And also all Supercast on Twitter for the rest of us.
Check out the YouTube for Dredd related videos, and I'm sure there'll be other stuff goes up on there as well.
Yeah. Okay then. Bye!
Bye!
Say bye, Joe. Say it!
You can't make more!
Say it!